Huh. Well, that probably answers why I felt the way I did. I had only heard of Tale Concerto a day before making this review, but after finishing it up, I can safely say that it is now one of my favorite games, and that I am extremely happy that I discovered this extremely hidden gem of a fantastic game. Tale Concerto is an action platformer with heavy steampunk elements and a story revolving around prejudice, family, and other mature themes that the game never felt like it needed to force or shove in your face. The story of Tale Concerto centers around a young dog police officer by the name of Waffle Rybread, who has to play the role of foil to a trio of adopted cat girls by the name of the Priss Sisters, who go by the team name of the Black Cat Gang. As the plot unfolds, we learn of an ancient being known only as the Iron Giant, who a mysterious and threatening shadowy force threatens to resurrect to rule the world in their image. The story is all very by the numbers when it comes to anime and games of this nature, but what kept me invested was the truly humorous writing and the sincere charm the game never lost thanks to its characters and how honest it all was about forgiveness and acceptance. The main character of the game is Waffle Rybread, a bright, positive young dog who sees the best in everyone, all while doing his best to save the day. There is also the lovely and pure-hearted Princess Thierry, who falls for Waffle, and the overly protective and incredibly conceited royal guard by the name of Cian. Finally, there are the Priss Sisters, led by Waffle's childhood friend Alicia, who resents dogkind out of deep-seated fears, along with Stare and Flare, Stare being the quiet, seemingly all-knowingly wise sister, with Flare being the pure-hearted and childish member of the trio. While the Priss Sisters are antagonistic, they are never truly trying to be any sort of villain, simply wanting to have a home that they can call their own for cat kind. However, the shadowy main villain by the name of Fool does the job as the bad guy, even if he has the least amount of screen time. I really liked all the characters, and I was happy that the story never took itself too seriously, which avoided it becoming a chore, and I was also really glad that there were genuine moments of heart to the conversations that the characters had with each other. The gameplay here is really simple. Half of it is a proto-Ape Escape-like game where you go around collecting troublemaking kittens to progress by getting key items, and the other half is boss battles. However, while those are the major elements of the game, there is also naturally platforming, collectibles to find, and some very minor and easy to complete fetch quests, all of which never really overstay their welcome, thankfully. Waffle was equipped with his mech, which could grab onto targets and pull them into his onboard teleporter, and also a non-lethal bubble gun that sadly only fired straight ahead, but at least it also ricocheted around a few times before either hitting a target or popping. The bubble gun would stun kittens and also destroy vehicles and boxes or anything else in your way. Well, it took me a moment to get used to the tank controls and a lack of any real camera control. For the most part, the game controlled really well, outside the few precise platforming moments and the incredibly annoying but thankfully single-timed area that was timed. There was a moment at the end of the game that was almost an exact copy of the Zen sections of Half-Life platforming-wise, and this is truly the only other moment I can say I was actually annoyed with the game. Outside of that, in the time section, the controls and gameplay are extremely solid. Boss battles were a tad bit repetitive, and the final boss was a letdown, but these thankfully never lasted too long once you got their patterns down. I just wish that there was the ability to upgrade your bubbles for either more damage or quicker rates of fire or something else like that. But the simplicity of just having the same base powers throughout the game isn't actually all that bad outside of that. I just wish there was more of a sense of progression. I also wish that you were able to use the jetpack outside the single area the game permits you to use it. But once you figure out how it works, it's fun to explore the floating islands around you while you collect stuff. The collectibles are photographs that you'll need to collect 9 of to fully develop each picture. While not often adventuring, you can spend time around your home and the surrounding area looking at your picture book that has your collectibles all stored in it and talking to the townsfolk before your next mission. Visually, the game is aged naturally, but the art direction keeps everything pleasant to look at, and the anime style carries over into all of the in-game character models and environments. The levels are all varied, the map screen is clear and nice to look at, the character models are all unique and representative of how they are supposed to look, and outside the naturally murky PSX visuals unless you upscale, it's still a treat to look at. On the cutscene side of things, I love the fact that after most major encounters, you would get a new anime cutscene, and these were all just so much fun to watch. All I could think of while watching them is that I wish there was actually a real anime, or at least an OVA based off of this, because the character designs and their personalities, and the flow of how each segment was animated and directed was just top notch. I also love the fact that all the character portraits were fully animated and matched the emotions and voices of what was being said for each character. The voice acting, sound effects, and music were all fantastic and a pleasure to listen to. Each voice actor fit their roles, and thankfully the only joke voice actor didn't overstay their welcome. Each area had its own beautiful theme, and none of the sound effects ended up annoying me. Everyone's acting was really cute and amplified the characters, and even the characters I might have found annoying in other games didn't annoy me here, since the voices were actually really well done. In the end, I am so happy that I found out that Tail Concerto existed, along with getting the chance to play it. It's an amazing game that wraps up nicely without dragging, and has very few moments I could genuinely call bad. The only true issue is the fact that the only way to play the game without having to shell out over $300 is to naturally emulate it. Regardless, I highly recommend that if this looks interesting to you, that you give it a play as soon as possible, because it's just under 5 hours, and it is an absolutely wonderful time from start to almost complete finish. As always, if you want to help support the channel, please consider sharing the video with a friend or checking out my Patreon linked in the description below. If you have any comments, questions, or recommendations, leave them down below as I read and reply to everything. Until next time, this is Thierry Williamson signing off until the next video. See ya, guys!